Hey everyone, what's going on? This is Yoko here with a bit of a new segment today. In this segment, we're going to take a look at things and just check stuff out. I know, vague, but hey, stick with me and you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. Today we are looking at the NES Classic. What is the NES Classic, you ask? Well, most of you guys probably already know this, but it is a small console made by Nintendo. It's got 30 NES games built into it, classic childhood memories, and some that you might not remember as much. It's its own standalone device, looks like a tiny little baby NES, comes with a controller with, by the way, a short cable. The cable on this controller is only about 3 feet, maybe 2.5 feet at that, which means you have to have it pretty close to you. So be prepared to have the NES Classic right up next to you, right alongside you, or have fun sitting next to your TV, which is actually what I'm doing. They do sell extension cables that are third party. I recommend getting them. With the controller, it is worth noting this doesn't plug in the same way the original NES controller does. It has the same kind of jack that's on a Wii remote. So, if you have a classic controller, a Pro controller, well, not a Wii U Pro controller, but the classic controller Pro, you can plug it in. You can play with that, and if you hit the home button on that, it brings you back to the menu, just like hitting the reset button. Pretty nice touch. But back to the console itself. This thing has 30 games loaded in, and let's take a run through those right now. We have Balloon Fight, BOBBLE, Castlevania, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Donkey Kong Jr., Double Dragon 2, The Revenge, Dr. Mario, Excitebike, Final Fantasy, Galaga, Ghosts and Goblins, GRADIUS, I'm not sure, Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, the original Mario Bros, Mega Man 2, Metroid, Ninja Gaiden, Pac-Man, Punch-Out!, Star Tropics, Super C or Super Contra, Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 2, or Super Mario USA if you prefer, Super Mario Bros. 3, Tecmo Bowl, The Legend of Zelda, and The Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. In addition to that, we also have different settings we can use, and we'll get into a bit of this as we go. There are different display settings for a CRT filter, a 4:3, and Pixel Perfect. Now, Pixel Perfect, it's a 1-for-1 pixel ratio. The game's going to be a little bit tighter than you might remember, but it does look pretty solid. We also have a 4:3, which emulates more of how it looked on your old CRT television, just aspect ratio wise. This is actually my preferred format to play in because it looks how I remember it. Pixel Perfect just looks a little too tight for my taste. But hey, that's why the options are here. We also have the CRT filter, which makes it look pretty much just like it was on your old TV back when you were a kid. It's a neat filter. There are some graphical issues with it. I don't prefer to use it. I like my picture to be more crisp. Speaking of picture, something to note here is that while the colors do look good, and they look really nice, they look very good, it is worth noting that they do look a little more diluted compared to an original NES. Now, I don't know if that's just because of the HDMI inputs, which by the way this connects via HDMI, or what the deal is, but it does look a little more washed out. You can't really tell unless you look at it side by side, so it's not a big deal. Aside from that, the games run great. I don't have any complaints with how they run. It's just like I remember it, and it's much more convenient because they're all here. They're all together. Speaking of convenience sake, one of the best things this system can do is it can save games at any time. Now, let's say you're playing a game and you want to save. Well, if the game doesn't have an internal save, or even if it does, hit the reset button on the NES Classic, and it'll take you back to the home screen, and you'll have a little box floating around. Then you just drop down, and you save it in one of these 4 slots. Now, let's say that you want to hold on to that game data and you don't want to overwrite it later. You can just hit down on the D-pad to lock or unlock it at will. You can delete or move with the select button. Start button starts the game, and B to go back to where we just were. Now, if you want to overwrite the game, that's easy too. Just hover over the little bubble flying thing, hold down A, and it literally knocks the old save out. So that's pretty cool. It's a pretty easy way to save anything, any progress as you go, no worries. You want to save Mario 1? you save Mario 1. That is all you. Now up here at the top, we have all kinds of different options. As we were saying before, we have the display. We have a general options, which has a demo mode, which I'll show off in just a moment. We have an auto shutdown, where it shuts down after a certain amount of time, and screen burn-in reduction. Language, well, you have your languages. Legal notices for all that legal, technical mumbo-jumbo that honestly you're probably never going to care about or ever want to read. And then manuals. If you just go to that website or scan the QR code, they have all the manuals digitally and scanned in. It's really cool. I really recommend checking it out if you care at all about old school Nintendo manuals. Very cool stuff. I like it a lot. As you've been able to see, just as this footage has been going, and right now, you can kind of see how the game plays. Everything feels great. It feels just right. I love it. I love it so much. I mean, this is pretty spot on. Overall, the NES Classic, it's a $60 console, at least in America. It's pretty hard to get as of the time of this recording, but Nintendo should be making more, so don't fret. You'll be able to get yours pretty soon. I recommend picking it up. I have an original Nintendo, but I do not have all 30 of these games. And you're getting 30 games, $2 a pop. They work with HDMI, so they're going to look better than your NES plugged into your HD TV. The save factors there, it's so convenient. Yeah, you could argue that, hey, why don't I just go get an emulator and some ROMs? But this supports Nintendo. You're supporting them, making their games, and bringing this out at a cheap entry price. Plus, not everybody has the technical know-how to do ROMs and emulators, so this is great for them too. Overall, I recommend it. I love it. I have already played through a couple of games on here. The Legend of Zelda, Castlevania, a bunch of the Mario games, Donkey Kong, Ice Climber, which I had never played Ice Climber before. So I'm getting new experiences out of this as well as old ones. Overall, this is a great nostalgia trip. I absolutely love it, and I recommend that you pick one up. A lot of love went into this thing. That much is very, very clear. Now, can I get a Super NES Mini or Super NES Classic Nintendo, please? Come on. Don't make me beg. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this segment about the NES Classic. Next time, we'll check out something else. Let me know if you like this segment, and we'll do more of this kind of stuff. This is just something I'm trying out for fun, but if you're into it, we'll make it happen. So be sure to let me know by commenting down below, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content, and we will throw more content in your face coming very soon. So, until then, I will see you around. Thank you for checking this out, and go get an NES Classic, because for real, it is pretty cool. Bye.